Good morning. Oh, it's such a lovely morning. That's what we're looking at this morning. I'll show you from the front camera if I can. It's just after 6:30, I think it is. There's just a huge benefit of getting out early, and getting out early is one thing. Getting into the mountains and getting some fresh air, or wherever it is. I love getting into the forest or just out and about before everyone else. We used to do that when we were in Spain and we were living kind of in the middle of everywhere. Now, I didn't need the head torch then. You're kind of walking around with, there's headlamps, but there was something about walking around before there was anyone else. I used to see how far I could walk before I saw my first car in the morning. Just to have that silence, to think, to try and order things into my own mind. But it's particularly lovely here. We go to Spain and we're renting a house in Spain now for 3 months, from December until February, and then we go to Ireland for 3 months. And both of those places I chosen Ireland because we're very familiar with it, and we go down to the beach every morning, take the boys down to the beach, and it's a different atmosphere there. Again, we get out in the morning. If it's a bit dark, we put on the head torches and the boys can see perfectly well. It's experiencing nature, I think, as nature was intended to be experienced. This here, I think this is about as close as you can get places like this. If you're living in the States, these places are everywhere. And we live in Andorra because it's a lot cheaper to live here. I have the belief that you go where you're valued. You pay your taxes where you're valued. When in Andorra here, they pay 10% tax, and that's it. So that's by my estimation, that's a good thing. I know you have to have a job that you can move in that sense, so that you can move it to a place like this, but it's not that difficult to do, right? I was working in the forestry in Ireland for many years, a couple of decades. We had our own business there, built up the business from scratch, from just planting trees for somebody else, and then I thought, I'll do this for myself. And obviously you can't take that anywhere with you, so it took a while, a bit of planning, a lot of planning, a lot of kind of heartache and stuff, and yeah, we're here. So we spent 6 months here, 3 months in Ireland, 3 months in Spain, and that's, for me, is kind of the ideal life. But just to, no matter where you are in the world, if you can spend some time getting out into the wilderness, into the peace and quiet, if you're in a built-up area, get out in the morning before anyone else is around. If you want to move and live in a place like this, you can. There's nothing stopping you. Only you and what you think. I had to leave my son behind in Ireland. My son is still in Ireland, and we've kind of arranged things now that we can go over there and spend 3 quality months with him and my granddaughter. So it is what it is. But like I said, get out into the wild, enjoy yourself with just fresh air. And early in the morning, I think, it just does something for me anyway, for my psyche. I used to be the opposite, getting up, trying to burn the candle at both ends, drinking until the early hours of the morning and then trying to get up and do things. It's not a great life. I've said this a lot of times, that my life with alcohol can be summed up with the phrase, 1 step forwards, 2 steps back, because that's what it always seemed to be. And that's the opposite. Once I stopped drinking alcohol, I found that for every step I took forward, it was a cumulative thing. So you're building on yourself, and you're building, you do today affects tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And if you're making positive steps forward, that's going to increase the next day and the next day. This was just a short video about getting up in the morning, getting out into the wilderness, living where you're appreciated, living where you want to live, planning, getting those things done. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow.